So for our reading section, last time we looked at what is the meaning of a paragraph, what is the meaning of words, and how those things relate to getting us to the right answer. Now, one thing you may have realized is when we search for answers to the questions, the sentences given to us in the question, whatever words those sentences have, don't match the words in the text. The meaning matches, but the sentences don't match. That is what is called a paraphrase. A paraphrase means saying the same thing or writing the same thing in a different way by changing the words from here and there. Just for an example, converting something from active voice to passive voice is a way of paraphrasing something. So, in active voice, if you say, uh, I watched television, and in passive voice, if you say, television was watched by me, both have the same meaning, but the words don't match. That's what a paraphrase is. And in the IELTS test, that is how they judge your English language skills. When the words have been changed, can you understand the meaning or not? Because if the words of the question and words of the text were the same, it will be a very easy test. Anybody can do it. But unless you know how sentences are formed and how words create meaning, you would not understand what paraphrase is. So, paraphrase means indirectly giving you the information, not by using the same sentences. So, when things are paraphrased, you have to do something called an inference. Inference means you have to deduce meaning from something when it is not directly given to you. You have to infer the meaning because every time meaning should not be directly said, meaning can be understood from the context as well. For an example, if I come into this class and if I start crying in the corner, without saying I am sad, people might think he is sad today. The context gives you the meaning. Uh, Again, if I come into the class and if I turn off the light, you might think that he thinks the room is too bright. So, without actually using the words, the context can give us some meaning. So, in the IELTS test, since the words don't match, they have been paraphrased. We have to infer means we have to indirectly find the meaning because meaning is not directly given to you. Just for an example, if I say something like this, I was born in Nepal and I have lived in Nepal throughout my life. Now, the question to you is, which country am I from? Answer would be Nepal. Although I did not say I am from Nepal, the words are not in my sentences, but that is what the meaning of that is. That is what it means by inferencing. So, we have to look at the context clues. When we read a sentence, just reading that sentence is not enough. You have to think what it is hinting at. Just for an example, let me write one sentence here. Can you give me a name of a person, a male, a European male name, any name of any person, a European male? David, okay. And now, can you give me a European female name? Rini? How do you spell it? R-E? Renee. Okay, David is Renee is. So I wrote a sentence here. Now I would ask you some true false questions. I would like you to judge whether they are true or false depending on this sentence. David is a man. True or false? True. The thing is, I have not written here David is a man. But how can you say David is a man? Because the context. I asked you, give me a male name. And I wrote David here because you said David. So David must be a man. And typically David is a male name as well. Now somebody might name their daughter David as well, but I asked, give me a male name, so I wrote David here. That's what paraphrasing is. Whatever I am saying is not here. And even though it is not here, you are saying it is true because the context is giving you the information. That's what inferencing is. Similarly, if I ask you, Renee is a woman, true or false? True again because the context gives you the information. If I say dinner means food, true or false? True, obviously, because dinner is food. Dinner is not a place or not a cloth, just it is a food. So things like these can be asked in the IELTS test. You will never find the words here. Like if the question is dinner is food, if you start searching for that sentence, dinner is food, you will never find that sentence in the text. The context is giving you the meaning. What if I say David and Rene are friends? True or false? David and Ren are friends. True? False? Here you should say not given because when you have to think about it, one woman offered a man to have dinner. Now, can only friends have dinner? They can be brother and sister. They can be husband and wife. They can be father and daughter. They can be co-workers. They can be neighbors. Now, typically, what happens is in our culture, we think if they are co-workers, they must be friends, or if they are neighbors, they must be friends. But you have to think even enemies can have lunch or dinner together. If you have read news, sometimes president of China has dinner with president of, let's say, India. Happens. So even enemies can have dinner together. You have to think about that. So what information are you looking for? When you infer a meaning, you should stop yourself from inferring too much else. Because sometimes we put our own thoughts into it. Now you personally might only accept a friend's offer of dinner, but there might be people who also accept anybody's offer of dinner. In that case, you have to think as well. If I again ask you, David rejected Ren's offer, true or false? False because here it says accepted. So that is what you have to do. Remember, in all the things that I asked you just now to judge true or false, whatever words I used are not here in this text, but you are still judging them. That is what we have to do in the IELTS test as well. Don't look for the words to match in the text. If you go for that, you will find most words from the questions will never match the words from the text. That is not what we should be after. We should be after matching the meaning. And to match the meaning, now when I say David and Bren, you will find the names here, but the information you have to match depending on the meaning, not depending on the words. So let's try that with a question today from the book. Uh, I would like you to go to IELTS 15, page number 16. You will see a text titled Nutmeg, a valuable spice. IELTS 15, page 16. So before we get into this text, had you heard about nutmeg before? What is nutmeg? So it says a valuable spice. It is a kind of spice. In Nepali, it is called jaifal or jaidana, whatever you call it. So it is a spice. Can you name some other spices? Cumin. Okay, cumin means jeera. What else? Coriander, dhania. Anything else? Pepper. Okay, marich. Bay leaf, tez patta, maybe. Uh, Cloves, luang, cardamom, lychee, so things like these. So, out of those spices that we use, nutmeg is one of them. So, this text is obviously about nutmeg. Now, today, let's focus on three things. First thing, what is the meaning of individual words and the sentences? Second thing, what is the overall meaning of each paragraph, like we did last time? And third thing, when we look at the questions, how have questions been paraphrased from the information given in the text? You will see in a short while that these questions have been answered in the text somewhere, but the words will not exactly match, obviously. That is what the IELTS test is about. So, in a short while, when you look at the question, we will try to figure that out as well, how things are paraphrased in English. But first, let me just read the first paragraph, and I would like you to visualize what I am reading. The nutmeg tree, Myristica fragrans, is a large evergreen tree native to Southeast Asia. So it is from Southeast Asia. Do you know which part of the world is called Southeast Asia? Is Nepal in Southeast Asia? Nepal is South Asia. Southeast Asia. Japan is East Asia. But Indonesia, Thailand, those places, Myanmar, Southeast Asia. So it is native of that area. Until the late 18th century, it only grew in one place in the world. Again, many people I have seen have been confused by this date. When is the 18th century? Which year is that? That is a common misconception. Let's see. This is the 21st century right now. So, in the 21st century, the year is 2024. So, 2024 is the 21st century. 100 years ago would be the 20th century. It will be 1924. If you go a further 100 years back, 1824, it will be the 19th century. So, 1724 would be the 18th century. So, from 1700 to 1799 would be the 18th century. Remember that. It is not 1800 which is the 18th century. 1700s is the 18th century. Because if 2000 is the 21st century, it is in that way. So, in this time period, 1700 to 1799, it only grew in one place in the world, a small group of islands in the Banda Sea, part of the Moluccas or Spice Islands in northeastern Indonesia. So it only grew there in the past. Now, maybe nowadays the plants have migrated to other parts of the world as well. The tree is thickly branched. Thickly branched means a lot of branches with dense foliage. Foliage means the leaf cover. When you look at a tree from a distance, you only see the leaves of the plant. So that is what foliage is, of tough dark green oval leaves, and produces small yellow bell-shaped flowers and pale yellow pear-shaped fruits. So I hope you are visualizing what I am reading. A tree with a lot of branch, a thickly branched tree with a dense leaf cover. It has dark green oval leaves and yellow bell-shaped flowers, shaped like a bell, and pale yellow pear-shaped fruits. You know pear? What is it? Naspati. So shaped like that. The fruit is encased in a fleshy husk. So the fruit of the plant is covered by a husk. Husk means khosta in Nepali. Like if you have seen cardamom, there is a bokra, you have to take it out. So that is what a husk is. When the fruit is ripe, this husk splits into two halves along a ridge, means a line, running the length of the fruit. So it breaks into two parts. Inside is a purple brown shiny seed, 2 to 3 centimeters long by about 2 centimeters across, surrounded by a lacy red or crimson covering called an aril. So now visualize this. There is a husk. When you break open the husk, inside the husk there is a lacy red or crimson colored aril. Inside the aril is a purple brown shiny seed. Although here the information is given in a different way. It talks about the seed first and talks about what is covering the seed. But logically, there is a husk. You remove the husk, there is a red colored aril. If you remove the aril, there is a seed inside the aril. These are the sources of the two spices, nutmeg and mace. So both spices, nutmeg and mace, both come from the same fruit. The former being produced from the dried seed and the latter from the aril. Now this last information, former and the latter. Former and latter means the first and the second. Just in this sentence that I wrote here, the name that I wrote first is David. David means the former. And here I wrote Ren. So Ren means the latter, former latter. So after this sentence, if I write, the former is a football player and the latter is a tennis player. Who is the football player? Former means David, the first one that comes in the list. And latter means the second one that comes in the list means Ren, in that way. So former, latter means first and second. So in that sentence, what is mentioned first? Nutmeg is mentioned first. There are two things, nutmeg and mace. Nutmeg comes first. So the former being produced from the dried seed. So seed makes nutmeg. And the latter means mace comes second. So mace from the aril. So in that fruit, the red colored aril, it produces the spice mace. And the dried seed that is inside the aril, it produces the spice nutmeg. So both come from the same plant. That is the first paragraph. So I hope you realized what this paragraph is telling you about. It is describing the plant itself and the fruit inside the plant. Now I would like you to look at these questions here, the fill in the blanks question. Questions 1 to 4. The title of the question, if you can see, it says the nutmeg tree and fruit. Did we just read about that, the nutmeg tree and fruit? That means the answers must be here in the first paragraph. So I would like you to take some time. There are 4 questions, so don't take more than 4 minutes to find these answers. Just to fill in the blanks. Okay, so let's do it together now. Number 1, what is the answer? Oval. Okay, now I want you to notice something. How is information given to you? In the text, it says dark green oval leaves. And the question is, the leaves of the tree are dash in shape. So see how it is paraphrased. Dark green oval leaves is paraphrased. The leaves are dash in shape and oval is the answer. That is what I meant earlier by paraphrase and inferencing. The words will not match ever, but we have to deduce the meaning from the context. What about number 2? Husk. In the text, it says the fruit is encased in a fleshy husk, but since the question says one word only, so we have to write husk, because the next line it says when the fruit is ripe, this husk splits into 2 halves, so husk breaks. What about number 3? A seed. Because number 3 and 4, the last thing that we read earlier, nutmeg and mace, there are 2 spices. Nutmeg is the former, comes from the seed. So number 3, the seed is used to produce the spice nutmeg, and the mace, the latter from the aril. So aril is used to produce maize. And now one thing that I think you should do in these four examples, you saw how this sentence in the question and that sentence in the text, how these two are connected to each other from the meaning, not connected based on what words there are used. Now if you really want to ace the IELTS test in reading, and this will help you in writing and other things as well, if you have free time at home, maintain a notebook. In that notebook, write these four questions, whatever the sentences are, write those four questions. And with each sentence corresponding to it, write the sentence which had the answer as well. Like write number one, the leaves of the tree are oval in shape, and write the sentence, dark green oval leaves. Like write those two things together with these four questions. In this book that you have, there are six books bind together into one. So IELTS 13 to IELTS 18. Each book, first of all, has four tests. Each test has 40 questions. So 40 times 4 times 6, whatever the number is. Can you calculate? 40 into 4 into 6. 960. Okay, so maybe in this book there are 960 questions. If you count each question, there are 960 of them. If you really have free time in your home, and if you really want to get a lot of detailed knowledge of the question types, write each question, whatever the question is, true, false questions, fill in the blank question, write the question sentence, and whichever sentence in the text has the answer, write that sentence as well, and study them in your free time. Study that these two sentences have the same meaning, and this sentence has been paraphrased in this way. This will help you in your writing as well, because you will learn how to write yourself, how to write in a different way. It will help you how to learn grammar and to learn vocabulary as well. So if you really do it, and you will see that once you don't have to do it all 960 questions. If you do it with a few hundred, let's say 1 or 200 questions, you will see each question is made in more or less the same manner. The question pattern is the same. Like here in number one, the answer was oval. In a different question, the answer may be square or rectangle. You will see that the sentence structure would be the same. Like this kind of question, it says oval leaves, that's in shape. Sometimes it says golden gate. The gate is golden. In that way. So that is how they create the questions, and you will realize that as well if you do it with all questions from this book. All kinds of questions. Write the question, write whichever sentence has the answer, and study them in your free time. Like this sentence means this, and that helps a lot if you really have time. In the class, we will do a lot of questions, but I don't think we will do all 900 questions in the class. So you should do at home that thing if you really want to. But I hope you got what we are doing. Okay. Then I would like you to try the remaining questions by yourself. Questions 5, 6, 7, the true false questions, and again they are filling the questions at the back. So do those right now.